What if the key to fixing our food system started beneath our feet? That's the question Dr. Jill Clapperton has been asking and answering for decades. Her work is all about exploring and sharing the art and science behind healthier soil and a better food system. Welcome to the Jill Clapperton Podcast, formerly known as Tasting Terroir, now expanded and more grounded than ever. Hosted by internationally respected soil scientist Dr. Jill Clapperton and co-host Sarah Harper, this podcast features real conversations with regenerative farmers, scientists, and artisan food makers who are redefining what's possible in agriculture and proving that change starts with the soil. It's part of a larger mission at Rhizoterra, Jill's company dedicated to improving soil health, crop quality, and human nutrition. And now we're bringing all of it, podcast episodes, soil science clips, expert interviews, and more to our new YouTube home, youtube.com/Jill Clapperton Soil Health. So if you're passionate about regenerative farming, nutrient-dense food, or just want to understand what really makes soil and our food system come alive, you're in the right place. Subscribe, listen, and grow with us.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Jill Clapperton Podcast. And, well, you guessed it, I'm Jill Clapperton. For the last 20 years, I've worked as an independent or freelance scientist, using my knowledge and my expertise to help farmers all over the world create healthy, productive soils that grow nutritious food in a way that regenerates and honors the integrity of the environment. Please join me as I introduce you to some of the people I've worked with and the people I know that are stewarding the land and growing nutritious food for us all in their own quiet and dedicated way. Let's call them our brightest food stars. From time to time, I'm also going to indulge my scientific curiosity, and yours too, I hope, to share some of the interesting research, both old and new, on soils, plants, agri-ecosystem practices, and that will include livestock grazing and food. And as always, my goal is for everyone to be making informed decisions based on science. And with that, let's get on to our podcast.
What if regenerative agriculture isn't a checklist, but a community? One that supports life from the microbes in your soil to the neighbors on your road. And if every farm's soil, climate, and tools are different, can regeneration ever be prescriptive? Those are some of the questions Canadian farmer Shorty Fensky wrestled with during a study tour through South Africa, along with farmers from around the world and our own Jill Clapperton. In this conversation, recorded on the final day of the trip, Shorty shares why soil health is the foundation for regeneration, the value of saving your own seed, and why keeping things simple can make it easier to start and succeed no matter where you farm.
Shorty Fensky, here we are.
Yeah, our last day in South Africa.
Our last day on tour in South Africa. We're in Paarl and we're overlooking the wine valley. And we're sitting here on this beautiful vineyard deck, Kenya Vineyard guest house, with all these fabulous tasting grapes that are ready behind us. And the mountain backdrop is just...
Oh, it's stunning.
stunning. Introduce yourself and tell us a little about where you live and how you farm.
My name's Shorty Fensky. I farm southwest of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, in a little town called Thorsby, Alberta. I farm with my brother Kevin. Primarily, my dad was involved with the operation, but he stepped away from the operation due to health issues. And we are mainly grain cropping acres. We also have cattle. We actually sold our cattle, but we still get stockers in because I know the importance of having cattle on the land. But we also have pigs. We also have chickens, both laying hens and broilers. All of the laying hens and broilers, in the summertime at least, are out on grass and chicken tractors. The pigs are in a pen because we're using the pigs to make a compost. We also make Johnson Sioux bioreactors, which are very handy because they're multifaceted in what you can do with them. and they're very easy for us to make. Now, our bad part is, yes, we freeze, so I actually have a composting shed where I can put them inside all winter and they don't freeze. So our approach to things is we need to keep it simple, but also it also needs to be very dynamic, and it needs to be very fluid, because our weather is very challenging at times. We need to have plans A through Z, and we haven't gotten to Z in some years, but we've definitely gotten to plan D. So again, being fluid in what we do is just par for the course for us.
So all we've been doing for the last few days, like week, is talking about agriculture in South Africa and comparing it with ours and having big chats with all these farmers about agriculture. And one of the things that kept coming up was, what is regen ag? Shorty, what is regen ag for you?
Again, that is a very loaded question, and I could say it depends, but that's just cliche. But I will start with one of my mantras, saying that a wise man knows nothing. So I refuse to label something because I don't think that regen ag is something that should be labeled. However, to me, regen ag means fostering a community which supports and encourages life. And not only does that community happen in the soil or on the plant, but it happens by encouraging a community that fosters life, whether it be from the microscopic to the macroscopic. That to me is regen ag, because we are supporting life. Now, Gail Fuller, he hit it right on the head when he said it's life, because he's spot on. But I think that it just needs to be expanded just a little bit more, just to include the community aspect, because you and I both know that none of this can happen all by doing it yourself. You need support. And the microbes, agriculture, it's all the same. It needs support. So by fostering that community of life and doing things that encourages life, I think that's a very broad spectrum definition of regen ag that could be supported by a lot of people.
Okay. Do you see it as being prescriptive?
It's getting there. And that's unfortunate, because you and I both know that everyone's soil, albeit is similar, it's not the same. Everyone's situation is similar, but it's not the same. I might have a tool in my toolbox that somebody from South Africa does not have, and they might have one that I don't have.
And we know that's true.
Yeah, most definitely. That's why I brought it up. But even if we were back home in Canada or in the United States, that toolbox is different for everybody. So to say that this prescription of what must happen doesn't work, because everyone's tools are different, everyone's capabilities are different. So
everyone's equipment
is different.
It's different.
Is it getting prescriptive? Yes, it is, but that's only if we allow it to do that. So again, it's a choice on our behalf as a producer. If we want it to be prescriptive, it will get there. But if we choose not to and let it be dynamic as it should be, then it'll be fine.
Okay. I mean, I agree with that, because I never felt, if we pigeonhole things, they tend to get limited. And then it's just like sustainable ag went by the by. Mm-hmm. So health is slowly being taken over by regen ag. But I think soil health is the foundation of regen ag.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
And I think when you and I were talking, and I heard you talking, it was about life and supporting life in general, in the soil, above ground, whatever. And so soil health really is the foundation of all of that. So for me, soil health really bond, if we will, regenerative agriculture. So I think that's really interesting. Now, we also know, being in South Africa, we've been exposed to orchards, apple growers.
Oh.
And
those apples, my gosh. They were so good.
So we've been with apple growers, we've been with broad acre crop growers. We've seen how the innovative farmers have really embraced cover crops, and are embracing companion crops and multi-species cropping, but also saving their own seeds. Now, what do you think about that?
Definitely, because that's the thing. When you save your own seed, you're imprinting the microbiome in that seed that is capable of surviving your conditions. And that's huge, because when you bring an external seed in, yes, it has its own microbiome from where it was grown. So it's established for where it wants to grow or where it had been grown. But if you save your own seed, now it's already prepared for the conditions that you have on your farm or in your environment. Having said that, every once in a while, yeah, it's good to bring in some new genetics. But take that with a grain of salt, because have we fully explored the potential of all of our genetics? I don't think we have. So by saving your own seed and allowing the genetics of your own seed to come through, yeah, the sky's the limit. I really do like saving your own seed.
Okay, we heard a lot about that. Peter Svart was very much into the whole concept of saving your seeds and then preserving that spermosphere community. So that's what you were talking about. So just for everybody who's listening, the spermosphere is the area of the seed, like the seed coat, including the inside of the seed coat. And it is colonized from the time the seed is formed by bacteria that will support the rhizosphere when the seed germinates, and will also support a healthy seed. Or it can be totally diseased, depending on how well you're growing your seeds, and cause other problems.
But let's also not forget the economic point of view.
Okay.
Because now if you're saving your own seed, there's that cost saving. You're not buying another source of seed. Having said that, there's also, you didn't sell it either. So,
and you had to store it.
Yes. So there are costs, but I think the benefits of saving your own seed, like saving it, not having to go out and spend more money. Yes, there are storage costs and opportunity costs that are lost by not selling it. I think it far outweighs the cons.
And eventually you will be able to sell it because you'll get enough seed, right? That you'll be able to support yourself and maybe even sell it to others in your community.
Exactly.
Okay. I know that you are growing a diversity of, you're really into multi-species covers and things like that. So what I'd like to do is just ask you, are there tips for other producers, farmers, ranchers that you would like to share with the people listening to this podcast?
Use the KISS method whenever possible. KISS stands for Keep It Simple, Stupid. The reason I say that is everyone hears about these big multi-species cover crops and just bursting with diversity. I get that. You should use it. But if it's economically unviable, it's not helping you. So keep it simple, but also use nature as your guide. Look to your native species as an indication of what's growing there. And because not all species are suited to all areas. So look to your ditches, look to your woodlands as an indication of this plant family grows here.
What about your prairie?
Well, exactly. Look at your prairie. Like for us, growing sun hemp is a no-go. We just don't have the heat units. So would I like to grow sun hemp? Absolutely. There's lots of benefits for it, but it's just not in the cards. But when you look to nature as your guide and use the KISS mantra, suddenly cover cropping, whether it be companion or just full season covers or whatever you're trying to do, becomes a lot more simple because now it focuses your attention.
And you don't have to spend a lot of money. I mean,
no.
Like all I ask people to do is just 3 species. Just pick 3 species. And if it's even worse than that, just go 2. Just don't ever do a monocrop.
Yeah.
I mean, you're already doing monocrop cash crops, so why not add
just
at
one
least
more.
One more to your, diverse cover or your companion or your forage or whatever.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like as you're getting started, keep it simple. But then as you get more comfortable, then make it more dynamic. Try and throw in a minimum of 4 plant families. I like to do 4, maybe 5, and it doesn't have to be that complicated again. It just needs to be one species in that plant family. So again, you can do this on the cheap and also be aware of how you're using these plants, because if you're using it as a companion crop or as an understory crop, that from an understory cash crop, good Lord, you don't want it to interfere with the harvestability. So these are some of the dynamics that you have to be aware of. Now, we've had excellent success using understories under our cash crops, except for last year, but last year was just weird. But well, when you get very little rain to begin with, and your wheat crop is only 6 inches tall, and then you get rain in August and all your companions grow, and then they're now 18 inches, that does cause a bit of an issue for harvestability. But
then maybe you have livestock, so then maybe you can salvage the day.
And that's exactly what we did. We salvaged the season where the cash crop grew taller. We harvested that. The rest we brought in the silage baler and we took it off that way. So again, being quite flexible and not being, I have to combine it. No, that just doesn't work for me. You have to be dynamic in everything that you do.
So just before we go, we did talk to some producers who embrace the regen ag mantra wholeheartedly and maybe not quite ready for that full-on transition. So if I'm going to go from what we're going to term conventional, which I got to say, once again, the definition of conventional, so I'm going to throw that definition in there as like full-on tillage all the time. No covers, monocropping one after the other, perhaps even a fallow period, like a chem fallow period or something like that. So if I'm going to transition from that into more of what I'm going to call regenerative agriculture, and I'm going to really embrace soil health, so I'm going to transition my soils to being healthier, can you suggest steps for how to make that transition? And do I go at it full bore, or do I just take baby steps? And you, again, I know there's no prescription, so how have you done the transition?
Baby steps is always the best way. Do not just turn on a dime. I guarantee this is a recipe for disaster. You need to identify the low-hanging fruit in your operation. So if you're a cash cropping operation, and I'm just going to pick on seed treatments, is this something that you could swap out for something else? That is a low-hanging fruit, because it's easy to go from a fungicidal seed treatment to a seed treatment bursting with life that will outcompete the fungal issues in your soil, just by simply using a compost extract as part of your seed treatment. So you need to identify those types of things where it's just, okay, this is quite simple to do, and then also look at it from an economic point of view. Those fungicidal seed treatments cost anywhere between $5 and $10 an acre, whereas compost extract is literally pennies. Not pennies per acre, but pennies.
If I buy, and even if I buy it?
Yeah, even if you bought it. Because the first year I bought worm castings, and that's what I used. And it actually turned out to be pennies, whereas other people used a similar product. I don't really want to name the company, but it was, I think, $7 an acre. But the base product of it was worm castings. So again, do your research. Figure out, okay, is this something that I want to try? And then, not that those companies don't deserve to make money, they do, but if you can figure out, how do I do this myself, why not?
And what is your tolerant level? I mean,
yeah,
like what are my risk levels? What do I...
Exactly. So figure out what you can easily change, because a really good friend of mine, she once told me that if you've done one thing different from last year, like year over year, you're already that much better than you were last year. So even if you just did one thing differently from last year to this year, you're already better.
You're making the steps to transition.
You're making headway. And another thing is also, never compare yourself to where other people are. They're on their journey. You're on yours. And, you might be on chapter 1. They might be on chapter 20. inevitably you have to go through chapter 11. And I pray
maybe not chapter 11.
Yeah, I pray it never gets to that point, but there will be some rocky points. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
But you need to identify what you can do and do it.
So just for listeners, because this is an international podcast, chapter 11 is bankruptcy. And we never want to get anybody to bankruptcy. So the idea is don't go too hard, too fast, too big, so that you actually risk bankruptcy or having financial catastrophe on your way to transition. And you don't have to. I mean, the thing is, you can take small steps, and it's like your friend said, just one step at a time. As you take one step, your confidence builds. Okay, I succeed at that one step. And I like the idea of the low-hanging fruit, because then I'm like, I can change this. Like, you're really confident that, if I gave that up, I would be okay. But don't give it up on big acres either.
No. And if you're wanting to try some really complicated things, do it on a small scale. And I'm talking small scale. I have plots in my garden that are literally 1 meter by 1 meter. Is it hard to extrapolate what that can do out in the field? Yes. But it gives you the confidence to try something on a small scale where you will not risk the whole farm.
In other words, if you treat that seed and you're 1 meter by 1 meter and it all dies, you're like, okay, good thing I didn't do that.
Exactly. So I'm almost positive that almost everyone, I'm not saying everyone, I said almost everyone, can take 1 square meter out of their farm and do some test plots.
Yeah. Agreed. Very much agreed. Another thing to sort of talk to listeners about is these study trips. And you come on study trips, like ag study trips, and I mean, let's face it, South Africa is pretty darn different. No snow, no really bad weather. I mean, similarities? What do you think your biggest takeaway, or some of your takeaways were from visiting South Africa?
Even though it's in the southern hemisphere or in a different country, farmers have the same problems regardless of where they are. How they approach them is different, and that's the key. They approach them differently, but the problems are the same. Compaction is a huge problem. Weeds, if you want to call them that, are a huge problem. Dealing with overgrowth can be a problem, especially in the vineyards.
Yeah.
But everywhere you go, the problems are the same, even if you want to talk about road maintenance. Because, yes, some of the roads were interesting.
Yes.
We'll leave it at that.
But we've all been on interesting roads in our own states and provinces. So.
Exactly. So regardless of where you go, the problems are the same. And I don't like the word problems because it leaves a negative connotation. So I have a little catchphrase that says, turn your obstacles into opportunities. And when you do that, there's so many opportunities that arise from that, because now do I go this direction or that direction to solve this obstacle? It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's all about mindset. It truly is.
So what do you learn? Like, I mean, we've been, obviously you're a broadacre farmer. What about the vineyards and the apple orchards? Is there anything that you took away from there?
That they still have similar fungal diseases. Like I honestly had no idea about the replant fungal disease that
the apple growers have.
The apple growers were dealing with. So it was a learning experience, to say the least. But having said that, the solution is very similar: plant diversity, and mainly flowering plants.
And plant with purpose.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
figure out, like, if this is a nematode problem, then let's not be planting a whole bunch of clovers. And I know we talked about that with the growers. We get deer in our apple orchards.
Yeah, they have baboons.
Equally as destructive. So, I mean, again, different but similar.
And that, to me, is the main takeaway, is everyone has issues, but we're dealing with it in an ingenious way.
And I hear a lot of people say, well, I'm not going to learn anything by going somewhere else. Like, they're not even close. Their climate's not, like, how would you address that question or that comment?
Not even close. Come to a trip like this with an open mind and with a positive mind. I guarantee you will learn something. Guarantee it. Because with a closed mind or a negative mindset, you will never see the possibilities for learning, ever. But when you come here, you just have to get past the minor differences and look at the macro environment, and then, you get it.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. And I think the exposure to different cultures and climates and everything is just really powerful. It can make you really appreciate what you have at home. But I don't know, everywhere I've been, and this is one thing I want all of our listeners, please, food.
Oh my gosh, the food here has been incredible.
Access to such fresh food. And taking advantage of it. So impressed.
Like back in Canada, fresh vegetables in the wintertime is a bit of an issue.
It's hard.
Yeah, but here, not a problem. And that was just spectacular. Especially the dinner last night. I think it was the Cole's the Eatery or something like that. Highly recommend.
In Parle.
Yeah, I will gladly put a plug out there if you don't mind, because
no, not at all.
That restaurant, they went above and beyond.
Yeah, I think we had a great meal at Avondale Vineyards, and we learned about biodynamics, and that offers its own opportunities and own challenges. But I think the one thing that really has struck me is that when you live in a climate like this, you have so much access to fresh food. It's seasonal, and a lot of people go...
You literally pick it off the vine behind you.
Yes. It's seasonal, and some people go, we get citrus all year round and stuff, but that presents its own challenges for citrus farmers and things like that, whereas people here really embrace seasonality, I think. If it's not grown, if this isn't the season for it, well, I'm not making stuff with it.
Yeah. Again, we need diversity of plants. We also need diversity in our diet.
Yeah.
That is just absolutely essential.
And the farmers. Every farmer that we have talked to, and quite a number of them, and compost makers and people who study soil biology, they've all talked about food and soil health and the quality of food. And I think that's the one thing. I hear a lot of people go, well, we're in danger of having, not having enough food, not having good food. We've met so many producers in a very small section of South Africa that all really care about the quality of food.
They found their why. They understand their why. They know that this is important, because without good food, by golly, we're going to deteriorate. I hate to pick on the US, but the food system is horrible. The quality of food that you can buy in the grocery store is horrible. And I don't want to open up a can of worms and make myself a target, but by golly, when you compare it to what it could be and what the farmers that are on the soil health and regen ag path
are
producing, it truly is.
Why aren't we eating it? Why aren't we eating that food, and why aren't we targeting that food as the food that we want to be eating?
That we need to be eating.
And then let's come back to that. We also had a big talk about water cycle. And that soil health also really rebuilds the water cycle as well. So when you're eating really well, you're supporting all these other environmental advantages, and you're supporting mitigating climate change. Would you agree with that?
I would, because you just look at our farm. It's not a very big piece of land. Our home quarter is literally 160 acres with a very small stream that runs through it. It can be big when we get rains. When it enters, it's murky. When it leaves, it's clear. That's huge, because now we're actually cleaning the water. that makes a huge difference. When water does run off, and not very often, because we try to infiltrate as much as we can, it doesn't run murky, it runs clear. That tells you that we're trying to help the environment to make sure and remove some of the contaminants that are in our waters.
It tells you that you are, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Because sedimentation is the biggest problem. It's the problem with lakes and rivers and oceans is the sediments. We run off some chemicals and things like that, but the sediments actually carry more of it and they hold on to it longer, which creates a whole bunch of other problems. So really the key to a lot of this is reduce sedimentation, which is also reduce soil loss, right? And so all of these things. So please, listeners, be confident. There are so many farmers around the world that are doing really good jobs to have a better water cycle and to keep the water on their own properties really clear. And now we need all the neighbors and our big communities to also support the same effort.
Mm-hmm. See, it keeps coming back to community, doesn't it?
Well, Shorty, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you on this trip. And I've learned so much from everybody, all the South African farmers that participated, as well as some of our hosts that, took us on tours and shared their own obstacles and shared their own opportunities. And then some of our members that have joined us, like our friend Jussi Napi from Finland. I'm sad to see us leave South Africa, but at the same time, I'm going to be happy to go home.
All good things come to an end, but then we look forward to the next time.
Yes, and we've made so many friends here.
Absolutely. You kept giving me a hard time. Are you just collecting contacts? No, I am not. I will converse with these people.
Yeah, and we'll add them in, and hopefully we'll have more, bigger global group discussions, because the whole goal behind Rhizoterra, my network, my podcast, and everything is about helping people build soil health, talk about soil health, talk about good food, talk about how we change climate change, and open up respectful conversations, but also respectful discussions, and even respectful criticisms, and because that's okay, as long as we're respectful of each other and know that we all have somewhat different opinions. It's good to have open discussion.
Absolutely.
And we've had a lot of that. So thank you very much, Shorty.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that podcast as much as I did. And I really enjoy chatting with amazing people that are doing fantastic things. I just can't help being enthusiastic for the future. And I hope that it gives you a sense of hope. Hope that we're always going to be able to cope with climate change, and we're always going to be able to grow enough nutritious food for everyone. And that agriculture is really going to be the answer to a lot of our problems. It is the solution. The future is bright, and we should all be hopeful. And more than anything, I hope I'll see you the next time. Bye for now.